What up, YouTube? Is that person and me.
We are back at it again. This is film number 5.
Oh my gosh.
We're already in the second half.
I feel
of the
it.
8 films.
I'm tired.
You're tired?
We just got our second vaccine today. So
Yes, that's true.
but we are watching.
It's like a shot in the arm.
We watched Mank.
Yes. If I would not describe this film as a shot in the arm. It was more like they put you on like a very slow IV drip, and like it has moments where it's like a little warming, and then moments where it's a little cooling into your veins, and then after a while it's like you're tired of it and you can't wait for infusion to be over.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking like, okay, my I have to shift around my rankings.
Well, let's talk about that later because we need to.
We didn't know anything about this movie really. We knew it was black and white, like a homage to old Hollywood, but we didn't know that it was specifically about the writer of Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
So it's a story, and Citizen Kane is an iconic movie, won Best Picture. So it's a movie nominated for Best Picture about a movie that became Best Picture.
Yeah.
So it's very full circle. It's very homage to old Hollywood. They even have the little detail of like the film, like with a little burn mark.
Yeah.
And I was telling Daniel that like it's like I'm enjoying it because it's like I feel like I'm watching an old movie, like, but like I mean with the little burn marks, and like it's in black and white. The style is very classic. We were saying, like, Daniel's pointing out that like they probably filmed a lot of it in the style of old movies.
Yeah.
So like one of the fun facts I know is that for like black and white movies, what they would do is like the makeup would look really different so that it translates in grayscale. So like in WandaVision they showed that like he's painted blue, so that in the black and white scene he looks the color translates to imply the color.
Right. Because if it was red, it would look like blackface.
Something like that. It's just So and yeah, it's just it's like watching an old movie. It's long. Well, it felt long. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes. I was like,
it's very. We
took multiple breaks.
Heavy.
Yeah, I'm like, this is one of those where I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, I'm gonna just let it slide and just like go for the overarching thing.
See, and that's what I would going in. I'm going to go back to what I liked about the film, but that's one of the big things that I would fault this film is just that because it's so dialogue heavy, like you're constantly needing to like keep up with this fast moving dialogue.
But isn't that
the lines it's the style, of course.
Is that
and they're jumping from back and forth, and they like cut really quickly because that's kind of how they would
but isn't that his style? So it's an homage to him. Like they're saying that Citizen Kane, he's like, there's like, it goes back and forth a lot.
Sure.
And this is exactly.
It was like a 300-page plus script.
And like, because it jumps back and forth, and it's like, I could barely keep up with the characters. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of scenes where you're like 2 lines behind the dialogue because you're still trying to comprehend what's been said in the scene.
Yeah,
and so there are a lot of times in this film this film is not meant for this film is meant for people smarter than me, or at least like more into the history and context, because I watched Citizen Kane once and it's been so long ago that I barely remember any of it. I just know that historically Citizen Kane is like the first masterpiece in film or something like that. It's the first film that could be first movie that could be considered like a a viable form of art. A lot of people say like The Last of Us was the first video game that really was a true work of like the Citizen Kane type art. Like everything before video games was just kind of like diversions and little like, fun things. Kind of the way movies were back then, where you know they were like just little things that people did for fun, and then somebody makes something that's really profound, very complicated, that uses styles that have not been used before in writing, and so yeah. So that's why that's all I really know. But there's a lot of scenes and a lot of things that I didn't pick up on until later on because I'm not that familiar with the plot of Citizen Kane. Where I'm sure if I were more, if I remember more, then I would have appreciated this film more. Okay.
I'm getting distracted by the Netflix
Yeah, I don't like how they do that, but it's nice. Anyway, and so good things though that I liked. I think that I really like the accents, the different accents that are being used. I think that's done really well. I was another thing where it's like two British people are playing Americans, but hey, you know what? They British people beat Americans in acting. You know, they're like uh, Filipinos, and I don't know. I didn't want to say something racist.
Okay. I mean, it was fun to look at, and like it's fun to look at.
Yes.
Like I like the costumes. Amanda Seyfried like look like I like the dresses. It's just it's a it's an iconic style. I don't know. It's timeless, and it's very also reminded me of the Hollywood show on Netflix. Um, and yeah, it's just I don't know well, it's I mean like, Hollywood about
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Like we watch a lot of Hollywood Graveyard and like it the
It's a
old
lot.
Hollywood kind of gives you that vibe, that same vibe, and it makes you appreciate a lot of the old stories. But as far as the story goes,
It's interesting.
it is
Just
interesting. I still have to reflect more on it because it's one of those films where if you watched it the second time, you would actually properly understand it. But I don't know if I could go through that a second time. Not that I didn't like the film. It's just a lot. There's not even like cinematography really. Very little cinematography. There's very little like. There's like maybe one or two montage scenes. There's maybe like one or two set piece scenes, and they're not even really set pieces. It's just so it's just a really tough shot in the arm. I mean IV drip, but okay. But the story I thought was really like well
it was,
told and
but yeah, it was
and
also just kind of hard to pay attention to. Like I kind of didn't get it, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's a lot.
yeah. All right, should we just go ahead
Sure,
and rate the
and
film?
okay. Ooh, yeah, rating the film.
Like how many film burns in the
Burn
corner
marks
out of 10?
8.
8.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Hmm. I'm gonna say I think my number one is still Chicago 7.
Really?
Number 2 is still Minari. Number 3 is still Nomadland. I'm gonna put this one as 4.
Really? Okay, so
Mank, and then 5 at the bottom. No offense to
the promising young woman
yeah.
at the bottom.
Yeah. It's kind of close though, because like Promising Young Woman overall I enjoyed, but like the quality of this kind of I don't know. Like I feel like I should put it above Promising Young Woman to like appreciate it more, but I'm like nah, it's okay. This is on my bottom. It's not bad. It's just, I mean,
Yeah,
just to me, like, I'm good. And it's just, again, like these movies, it's 2 hours long, but it took us like 4 hours because we like eat and like
let
do
me.
stuff, and it was just,
Okay, yeah.
it's a lot. It's just a lot to like mentally process.
Let me say this. I think the one thing that I think about, like, I asked myself, would I be okay with this film winning the Oscar? And and I'm thinking like, and I was like, no, and I was asking myself why. It's because one, it's a perfect film to nominate for an Oscar because it's about, it's basically about like what the Oscars are about today, where it's like the films that win are the ones that say something like that profoundly and do it in a great way, in a unique way, and they're about films that make Hollywood worth more than what it is. But they're just like some entertainment business, which
Mm.
is a big part of the business. But it's not. But the films that win Oscars are the ones that do so much more. So, and the way they talk about the first film that did that, yes, uh, it deserves a nomination. But why wouldn't want to see this film win an Oscars, because this is what the out of all of them, this is the one film that didn't really make me like question my views or my understandings on something. It didn't like, really necessarily change my perspective on anything. Um, it's educational, sure, and it's fascinating. It's a fascinating story, but it doesn't really inspire me, or it doesn't really like make me feel emotionally like burned up. And like there also weren't people of color in the film, so literally because it was black and white.
Uh,
Yeah. So okay, I don't want to do my power rankings, but I would definitely say I would definitely agree with you. Like I don't want to choose my top three yet, but I would definitely
okay.
agree with you that this film and Promising Young Woman for me would probably be
On the
around
lower
around the
half.
lower end. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But which, I mean, it's not necessarily bad because
They're definitely contenders for
they're
6, 7, and
all
8.
they're all okay. Ooh. All right. Well, thank you everybody.
Be sure to follow me on twitch.tv/DJ Stream every Mondays and Fridays, and sometimes weekends with other streamers and other collaborations going on. So be sure to check that out. We also are a part of Mix Talk, the Bossless Podcast, the Bossless Botch Talk, the Hype, uh,
You've been a guest on Downtime.
Downtime, and Raven's Real Talk, and
Yeah.
um,
Look at that. Look at you with your little
collaborations.
repertoire going on.
Yeah,
I
Twitch
know
resume.
we haven't even did a COVID vlog
Right, we
because
should
yeah,
have. Today we got
I
our
said
full
that already
vaccination. Oh, we did? Oh, wait, you
in the
did.
beginning.
Okay, well, there you
But
go.
yeah, so we'll get to talking. We'll get to that eventually if we ever do what we do. So
Yeah.
thanks for watching. Tune in to see us watch the rest of the movies and
With 3 films
lose
to go, guys.
our minds and sanities. Just kidding.